Good evening. Welcome to the Committee of Adjustments meeting of May 18th, 2022. We are going to start this meeting today. The adoption of the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda? No, we're good. All right. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? No. All right. We'll do the adoption of the minutes. The last meeting was April 20th, 2022. Sorry. Oh, adoption of the agenda. Sorry, I missed that. The adoption agenda, we get somebody, Renee and Dave. All those in favor? Aye, aye. All right. Okay. Adoption of the minutes of April 20th, 2022. Anybody have any questions or? Nope. All right. Get a mover and a seconder. Bob and Dean. All right. All those in favor? All right, carried. Okay, so this evening there's a public hearing scheduled for two proposed minor variances. First one is application number A0322FR for Kevin Bevenuti. And then the second application is number A0422FR, Richard and Ann Thomas. The Committee of Adjustment is holding a public hearing to decide whether or not to approve minor variance application. The committee will be presented with the details and background to the minor variances, minor variance application, and will receive comments from the public and agencies before committee decision is made. I will pass it on to Matt Dumont.
So notice of public hearing was posted in the municipal office and was sent by mail to the assessed owners within 60 meters of the property, subject to the minor variance application, and to those persons and agencies likely to have an interest in the application this evening. So the notices were sent on May 6, 2022, being over 10 days prior to this evening's meeting. Included with each notice was an explanation of the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and a key map showing the location of the subject property.
I now declare this a public hearing to deal with application number A0322FR, Kevin Bevenuti. The Director of Planning will advise of the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and provide any further information that is relevant to the application. Just before you start, can we put the volume up a little bit more? Sorry, Matt.
Can you hear me?
Should be good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. So with respect to this application, this minor variance application tonight, the variance being sought would facilitate the consent application, which is a severance application, and the file number for that was B as in Bob 4421 French River, meaning there was a severance application that was conditionally approved last year for the severed lands, and the approval authority at the time was the planning board for the severance, which had frontage on Highway 528 in the township of Schollard in the municipality of French River. The lands are zoned rural under zoning bylaw 2014-23, being the zoning bylaw for the municipality of French River. So this is very technical in nature, and what I mean by that is the minimum lot frontage requirement is 100 meters for a severed parcel of land, as well as a retained parcel of land. Through that process, a survey was not conducted at the time, and nor is it required through that process. So we use approximate measurements when site plans or conceptual plans are submitted to the planning board, and then we go ahead with that information and we process that information. So that there's conditions that are in place for approval. And one of those conditions as part of a severance application is to get the survey done. It's a requirement. And so upon getting the survey done, it was noted by the surveyor that the frontage came in at 99.7 meters. As a result of that, it no longer meets the zoning requirements for the rural area for lot frontage. And that's why we're here this evening. And that's why the minor variance is technical in nature to address that. So with that said, we did receive some comments from the municipality of French River. They had no concerns in relation to this application. and that the application was not subject to any conditions relating to municipal drains, parkland dedication, or any road transfers. And we did not receive any phone calls from the public in support or objecting the minor variance application this evening. Other than that, I did not receive any further comments as part of the circulation. As I noted earlier, this is technical in nature, and as a result of that, the application does meet the 4 tests of the minor variance, which is it is minor, it is desirable and appropriate development for the land and building. It does maintain the general intent of the zoning bylaw, and it does maintain the general intent of the official plan. And for those reasons, I'm recommending the minor variance this evening.
Thank you, Matt. So I believe the applicant isn't here, right? So there's no questions there. Are there any questions from anybody from council? We're all good? All right. If there are no further questions, then I declare this public hearing to be concluded. It is now in the order for the committee member to make a motion and the committee to consider the application. You have a mover, Dave, and the seconder, Bob. Right.
So it is duly moved and seconded. Be it resolved that application number A0322 and Angelica and Kevin Benvenuti be approved and that the necessary notice of decision be prepared.
All those in favor? Carried unanimous. All right. Please be advised that there is a 20-day appeal period during which time any person or public body may appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal. During this period, the appeal period, no building permit may be issued or other work commenced. So I guess this portion of this application is concluded. So we will go on with the next one. So I now declare this public hearing to deal with the application number A0422FR, Richard and Ann Thomas. The Director of Planning will advise of the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and provide any other information that is relevant to this application. Matt?
Thank you. With respect to this application for minor variance, we're here this evening to assess an accessory structure, that being a detached garage, which is being proposed to be constructed this year. The proponents have requested relief for maximum height for that accessory structure. So the zoning bylaw, as it is right now, permits a height of 5 meters or 1.5 stories, whichever is lesser. So in this case, the 5 meters is applicable. And what the proponents are proposing is 5.95 meters. So that's a difference of 0.95 meters in height. The subject property is designated a waterfront policy area in the official plan. And what that means basically is it provides locations for seasonal and limited permanent residential uses, which is exactly what this subject property is today. And when we're looking at the official plan at minor variances, there's a section that refers to 4.25, and it kind of just talks about some criteria with the development, like is it compatible with the adjacent neighboring properties in terms of like character. It looks at like access to the subject properties and maintain year round. Is there parking available? Some other points that I look at, is there adequate buffering, screening, and landscaping? And sometimes there's unique circumstances in terms of the design of a building or structure, which sometimes might not work with the constraints of that site. So those are all factors that I consider when I conduct a site visit prior to providing a report to the committee. So with respect to this application, in terms of compatibility, so the detached garage will be located towards the rear of the subject property and is primarily vegetated area. If you look at aerial imagery and you're on site, it's well buffered in the area where it's being proposed, and it will have limited visibility of both neighboring properties to the east and west, as well from Woodcliff Crescent. So the application generally conforms to the intent of the official plan for those reasons. In terms of zoning, the subject property is zone waterfront residential. which requires a minimum lot area of 0.8 hectares and a minimum lot frontage of 60 meters. So the existing lot today conforms to both those requirements because the lot area is 0.1 hectares in area, and the water frontage or lot frontage is 67.1 meters. So it complies to both those zoning requirements. I also go on to note that I went a little bit further in terms of accessory structures, that being that detached garage, and what are the setbacks? And what I mean by that is there's interior setbacks, there's rear setbacks, there's front setbacks. So I examined the setbacks or the location of where it's being proposed in relation to the neighbors and the property line. So the minimum interior side yard is the requirement's 1.5 meters, and for a rear yard, it's 3 meters. So looking at that and examining the plot plan, the proposed garage will be approximately double that separation. So it's going to have 3 meters of side yard setback that's being proposed. And as for the rear lot line, it's going to be significant setback at 18 meters, where 3 meters is required. So taking those considerations into account, this can also be deemed appropriate development. And the reason they're asking for the height is for the roof pitch. So they're doing a 612 roof pitch for structural purposes and aesthetics. So that was another note that the proponents provided to me through the ongoing discussions through this process. With that said, we did circulate to, again, all the agencies and public. Municipality of French River had no concerns or objections with respect to the proposal. I did not receive any objections or concerns in terms of emails or phone calls through this process. So with that said, taking everything into consideration, the proposed variance that's being requested, which is 0.95 relief for maximum height of an accessory structure, can be deemed minor, desirable for the appropriate area, meet the intent of the zoning bylaw, and maintain the general intent of the official plan.
Thank you, Matt. So the applicant is in here. So anybody from council have any questions or comments? All good? All right. If there are no further questions, then I declare this public hearing to be concluded. It is now in the order for the committee member to make a motion and for the committee to consider the application. So can I get a mover, Renee and Dave? All right.
It is duly moved and seconded. Be resolved that application number A0422FR, Richard and Anne Thomas, be approved and that the necessary notice of decision be prepared.
Thank you. All those in favor? Carried. All right. Please be advised that there is a 20-day appeal period during which time any person or public body may appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal. During this appeal period, no building permit may be issued or other work commenced. So I guess this meeting is now adjourned. Have a mover. Renee and Dean, thank you. Carried.